Hey guys, so coming away from an early screener of stop motion, which is was written and directed by stop motion animator Robert Morgan, and I'll put a link down below for you guys to check some more of his awesome work out as well. Um, Now, I couldn't help but make a couple of comparisons to other films, as one is apt to do, while I was watching this. In a way, referring to stop motion as sort of a Roger Rabbit from hell, it's an obvious comparison considering the infusion of stop motion animation mixed in with the live action so seamlessly scattered throughout the film. Alice in Wonderland is another one, especially considering the psychedelic, sort of mind bending qualities of this film. The little girl in the film, who's never actually named, not even in the end credits, she was played amazingly by young Kaelin Sprinell, whom the star character Ella, played by yeah, Alice in Wonderland, was another one that I thought about watching this as well, which I guess once you've seen the film, that's kind of obvious as well, considering they both share a very psychedelic, mind-bending quality to them. For example, they're in the film stop motion. The little girl, who we never actually get to know what her real name is, she's played brilliantly by young Kaylin Sprinell. She's sort of like a bit of a Cheshire cat, if you will, because she ultimately meets Ella, who is played also equally brilliantly by Ashley and Frankie Osi, who you guys might remember as Dracula's blood buffet from The Last Voyage of the Demeter. So these two characters meet up while Ella just finally breaks free of an overbearing mother. Her mother passes away, and she's trying to figure her own life outside of her mother's shadow, who was very controlling. And anyway, so she finally sets free, sets up a apartment of her own, meets a little girl, but can't figure out what to do with this newfound freedom. And the little girl, much like the Cheshire Cat, starts to lure Ella into some pretty dark places, but also places that evidently Ella absolutely needed to go in order to find her true path, as dark and twisted and murderous as it might have been. Um, and I found that, again, much like the Cheshire Cat, this little girl leads Ella to the most curious and wondrous places. And of course, once Ella does realize that there's some pretty dark and terrible places indeed that the little girl's opened up for Ella, well, let's just say that when some doors are closed, or or let's just say that when some doors let's just say there's some doors which cannot be closed once they're open, much delight of the viewers, of course. And basically, after living under the choking rule of her own mother, who was a bit of a legend among stop motion creators, Ella's all too ready to uncover a life of her own, even as her beautiful monsters begin to turn against her. And the film, I thought, absolutely nailed the insidious nature with the scenes that really do unsettle, as well as provoke some pretty contemplative reflection that easily haunts us way longer after the credits stop rolling. I actually watched the film twice, and I found that watching it the second time, I started having even more questions for myself, because there's so many metaphors and nuances in there that if you look hard enough, you'll find the answers that you're looking for. So absolutely go check out the movie. I think you're gonna find it. Oh, shit, where was I? Yeah, and the film just absolutely nails us an insidious terror with scenes that fuck, get back over here. Yeah, and every scene in the movie really nails just this constant feeling of unsettled dread that, we're made to constantly question whether, the awful things that are transpiring before our very eyes are in fact what's really happening, or if it's the manifestation of Ella's mind that's being torn apart by the weight of the world and the complications of cutting herself free from those constraints that she's been used to up until this point, thanks to the little girl. And of course, her own submission to the chaos that's clearly going on inside of her mind. So, highly recommend it. Go check it out if you can. It's also going to be hitting streaming on AMC as well as Shutter. See it any way you can. Thanks for watching. See you at the movies.